Hey everybody, final thoughts time for Rice Dice, Spirit of the Rice Patty dice game, which does a surprisingly good job of shrinking down and encapsulating all the gameplay of its big brother, Spirits of the Rice Patty. The core of this game is definitely here, which is that notion of kind of this little water distribution simulation where I've got all my different rice patties. Some of them are different sizes than others, and a big part of the game is transferring water downhill from one to another to make the most efficient use of it to flood all my fields in perfect synchronicity, get them planted, and then get them emptied out so the next one can get filled up so the previous one can now get harvested and score points. It's a neat puzzle here, and it's a neat, simple little puzzle over here as well. All the spatial logistical stuff and actually having to gather the resources to build the patties is gone. Now, I have 3 cards. I'll pick one and put it down. I've made a new patty, hooray! But you still have to pay attention to, does it come before or the other ones? Because how is the water going to flow through all those things? I loved it here, love it here. Neat little game. And the other thing too, the spirits are such a big part of the game because this game, the powers you could get were such a big deal and could really change up what your overall flow is going to be as you, set, collected, or did certain things depending on what spirits you were really trying to appease. Here, you get it goes about in a completely different way, but you still get that sense of it, like you saw in the run-through. Oh, I'm trying to get this particular spirit happy because it'll undo these things. Oh, this particular spirit kind of leads towards these particular types of actions. That stuff is there too. And again, the crux of this game is not just sitting with only 1 or 2, but getting 4 full rice patties functioning that not only work well in terms of that water distribution network, but more importantly, combine well with the special powers you've given yourself. And that is very, very cool. Every time you play, you're going to get a different series of options depending on what spirits come your way, so you can ply their favor and try to get more rice than your opponents. So I'm really impressed by it. It does a very, very good job. There's one thing, though, that this brings over from here that I'm not keen on, and that's those gosh darn weeds. It was certainly true that in the original Spirits, there were certain ways you could go, oh, look, I'll hit you because I've got these certain cards that will make you have to deal with pestilence and stuff like that. But in the original Spirits, you could pretty much completely take all those things out. There was just like a certain percentage of the cards that were kind of mean in attack, and if you took them out, boom. Players were never actively trying to scupper each other. They were just doing the best they could. And the game itself would still occasionally hit all players with weeds and with pestilence, which doesn't exist now. It's just weeds, because again, it's simplified. And so if you wanted to play a live and let live game, Spirits would still provide a very, very cool, rich, robust Euro-style puzzle to solve. Rice Dice, you can't ignore it anymore because, I mean, it's 20% of what you can do, and there's going to be many, many turns where, oh, based on what I rolled and based on my circumstances with the certain powers I've got, really, my best option right now is really not to do anything to help myself, but just hurt you and slow you down while I wait for a better die roll to come along. And while that works, and I think it's absolutely crucial to the overall balance because this is not a roll, set some aside, re-roll, set some aside, re-roll, right, now what do I got? This is just you roll the dice, you do one action, and hopefully it's going to work out well. There are going to be times where under those circumstances, that very, very quick, simple, fast turnaround that you are going to get really nice rolls and I'm not going to get good rolls. And chances are when those times when I don't get particularly valuable rolls are going to be the times where, well, I guess I'll just throw some weeds your way to slow you down until things go my way. Just not fond of that at all. I think it's important. I would have rather seen the game work a different way. I would have rather seen that, hey, once everybody's gone, roll the dice and however many, if 1 weed comes out, everybody gets hit with 1 weed. If 2 weed comes out, everybody gets hit with 3 weeds. If 3 weeds comes up, everybody gets hit with 5 weeds. Something like that. So everybody gets equally hit and oh crap, now we've all got to deal with it. That's more like how its Big Brother worked. But here, there's 100% weed distribution solely based on players trying to punch each other. It's fine, and it's not like it's a really onerous task. It just means that, oh, you didn't get to do anything this turn, so you just tried to slow me down. Personally, I'm just not a fan of it, particularly, I should say, in a two-player game. I would definitely say this game is at its weakest with two. The solo game, which I actually thought about demonstrating, works really, really nicely. The way the solo game works, it's a two-player game where you are racing against another player who, it's just you roll the dice for them and there's a simple checklist of, oh, did you do this? Then this happens, this happens, boom, their turn is done and you go again. And you just try to score points faster than them. And I mean, I don't mind hitting them with weeds because they're just an unfeeling AI and they're just trying to, do whatever they can. And then again, with more players, the interesting thing is, if I choose to go with weeds, if that's the die roll I got, I hit all players equally. And that feels like, even if I'm personally not a big fan of it, it feels like it's a worthwhile thing because, I'm going to slow everybody down, and that gives me a chance to catch up. But with only one other player, the more min-max zero sum of it, I can't do anything, so I'll just slow you down, and just doesn't feel as satisfying. So I think the game is okay at 2, but it's really going to be better with more players because, in any given round, probably one player is going to do weeds. Everybody's going to have to deal with that. And it's just more distributed. It doesn't feel quite so targeted. It just feels... it feels more like what this felt, where no, it's just a simulation that kind of threw some weeds in every once in a while, as opposed to just the more tete-a-tete back and forth that two-player has. So I have to admit, I'm not a big fan of it. I think I would definitely enjoy it a lot more with more players. And it's a shame because there's stuff that's awesome in here. And if you don't mind direct attack type stuff, and I know a lot of players don't, I think this is going to work out really well. Because again, the core puzzle of how to direct the flow of water is still excellent and wonderful. Depending on what rice paddies are out, I mean, it could get really dry and really barren, and everybody's scrabbling to get that. And so I can't get water on your turn. I gotta hope to get it on my turn, even if it's a less than efficient turn. That stuff is still really neat. All the really cool combos of special powers are really neat. Although, man, some of them are really mean too. Just like the original game. And I guess, like the original game, you could take those really nasty ones out if you wanted. But even if you took those out, you still got, you know what? Probably every 3 or 4 rounds, I'm just going to throw a bunch of weeds your way and hope that it really messes you up while I catch up. For some players, that's going to be great. For me and Jen, it was kind of a miss. And that, folks, is...
Hey, I just wanted to jump in here and say, you know what? After having filmed this, I talked with the developers a bit more about it, and I think they kind of agree that maybe for some players like me and Jen, it's a little bit too mean-spirited, especially at the 2-player count. And in fact, they have been working on updated alternate variant rules, Care Bear rules, for people who do not want to have to constantly attack their loved ones. This really elevates my enthusiasm for the game. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with the system as it is, especially at higher player counts, but oh my gosh, I would love to see a Care Bear variant. Now you can go check out the Kickstarter page to see what they've come up with, because at this point, while I'm recording, I still don't know, but I just wanted to jump in. And now, let's go on ahead and wrap her up.
Rice Dice, Spirits of the Rice Paddy. And like I said right up front, it's on Kickstarter right now. You can hit that I to go learn a little bit more about it, see what the final game looks like. But otherwise, hope you have a very, very nice day, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.